Hugh Hefner, a true American icon, created an empire that was unrivaled.
Although some of us bunnies may have gone rogue, it's because of the love and respect that we received from the man behind it all.
Because after all, we did learn from the best.
Relive the stories from the most prominent celebrity home in history.
What happens in the grotto stays in the grotto.
From those of us that lived it,
The employees that worked it,
And the guests who loved it.
And
the mayhem continues.
We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. We are doing a part 2. Well, technically, it's a whole nother show because we're going to be really delving into the dating world. We are back with Harrison Luna from Love Island. And you can tell by the accent, if you heard in the first show, you're from Australia.
Yep.
So, dude, let's talk about your childhood. What was it like growing up in Australia? Because now you're here in the States, and let's do some comparison.
Yeah, where did you grow up in Australia?
Yeah, it's a place called Adelaide. So it's like people say it's like a big town. It's a small city. There's still like 1 million people in South Australia where I'm from. But it's definitely more of a conservative world. Definitely the opposite of LA and Miami.
In what way?
In the way that you're meant to, or not meant to, but naturally people get like married and have kids by the time they're 25.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's very like, you get into university or college. You meet your love of your life, blah, blah, blah. You end up getting into a job and it's a very settled way of life, very family orientated place as well. But it's a beautiful place to live. I guess the landscape of South Australia is beautiful. Lots of wine country, lots of really nice beaches and coastlines too. So yeah, it's a beautiful place to live, but it's just not as hustling and bustling as I usually love. That's why I'm moving around. That's why I've checked out.
Were you a surfer? Did you surf out there?
No, not really. I'm not much of a surfer. I do love paddleboarding though. For me, paddleboarding is amazing because I think it's just much more relaxing. So you can do it there's this spot actually where I'm from, just anywhere along, to be honest, the main coastline where I'm from. And whenever there's a good sunset, if you get the paddleboard and just paddle out there and it's nice and flat, that is a really, really beautiful time. I enjoy doing that.
Don't you guys have a lot of crocodiles and great white sharks?
Yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. Issue. Yeah.
Crikey.
Yeah, exactly. The shark warnings and stuff do come up a fair bit, and unfortunately there are a fair few attacks, but nothing like, I mean it's not like a new one's happening every week. But it's still it's definitely something that a lot of people, take into account. But the crocodiles you don't see anywhere near the beach really. That doesn't quite happen. But there are some around. There are some around for sure. Definitely in the northern parts of Australia for sure. I mean, they could be up there. They could be on the beach. They could be in the rivers and stuff. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's definitely crocodile signs up in the Northern Territory.
I'm looking at Jen. Yeah. She's sitting there shaking her head.
Yeah, you've really got to watch out.
No.
You've really got to watch out. There was this place I went to. Basically, there were two different. There was a waterfall, right, and there was up top is natural spring water, and then downstairs, down once the water had fallen down, that was water. That was natural water as well. But there were crocodiles all throughout there. You definitely do not want to swim down the bottom part of it, but up top, you're fine. So that's how close it can be if you take a wrong turn. I mean. It's not great, but that's in what we call the outback, I guess. That's,
nice.
Yeah, that's proper getting into the sticks.
So I learned something just recently. The size of Australia is basically similar to the size of the United States, right?
Yeah, pretty similar.
We have 350 million people here in the USA. You guys have 27 million.
Yeah.
And you guys are mostly on the coast, so everything in between, is that literally just uncharted?
I mean, majority of it it is for sure. And I think also that's touching back on where I'm from, and I guess why I don't naturally like the Australian girls is we're a much more conservative country, and the whole 360 million people that you guys have here compared to our 27 definitely plays a massive part of that, right? The diversity here is we're a multicultural place, but we're so isolated that it's you can't just go and take a train and be in Europe or be in Germany if you're living in France or something like that. You can't just do that. So the cultural thing isn't as there. So we're not as worldly. And I find that the population here, granted, America is not as diverse as Europe is, but I find America, the population definitely allows people to just be who they want to be, and they kind of just like go, oh well, like this is me, more often than Australians do. So that's kind of like, I guess, part of the reason that I'm elsewhere.
Which brings me to the dating pool. So the dating pool in Australia is very small, and I would imagine that it feels like it's the same girls over and over. I know that sounds crazy for 27 million people, but if you're from a small town, it's probably like everybody knows everybody. Did you find that? Like, obviously you come to America and there's like 5 gajillion women, and in Australia there's, it's instead if they're all getting married at 25.
I mean, that definitely plays a role. Also, everyone getting married at 25 is just like in Adelaide or the smaller cities, generally speaking. Like Melbourne and Sydney, and the Gold Coast for sure is definitely not like that anywhere near as much bigger environment to be in. But yeah, in terms of the dating pool, I mean, if you go out in Melbourne, for example, like if you're in the clubbing scene or whatever, you see the same people a hell of a lot, and it's a great network to be a part of. Like, it's good fun. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of like if you're with this person, for example, I mean, the chances are that they're going to be friends with someone else that someone else that's been in the club last week or what. It is a much smaller pool. And that's just the way that it is, right?
But see, okay, a couple things that you touched on, right? You're saying like much conservative. What I'm hearing, it seems like Australia is kind of like our Midwest. I mean, it's middle America. That's pretty much what you get. I have a lot of friends here in LA. Yep. They say, man, they just can't find anyone to really settle down with because no one wants to settle down here.
No one wants
in LA.
Everyone wants the next best thing out there.
Yeah, but if you're living in, like, say, my friends are from Oklahoma, right? And I'm like, dude, if you lived in Oklahoma, you'd be already probably married by now. You know what I mean? That's what your goal. So we do have that in the States. And I guess that's where I kind of wanted to hear and touch base on dating, especially here in LA. Like, what did you see in Miami? Because first you went to Miami, and then you came to LA. Like, what's the dating scene in Miami?
Yeah, I guess first to touch base, I didn't actually know, like, I don't know what the rest of America's like too. So I guess to kind of pull everyone together was wrong. But no. It's just that's what you're seeing, right? Yeah. That's what you're seeing. Yeah.
I mean, you're jumping from one coast to the other coast, so I get it totally. You see how Miami and LA, but that's not how the Midwest is very conservative to where it's like probably by 25, the mass majority are married.
Right.
You know what I mean? They want to start their families. They want to have their kids. They went to school. And they're within the same people that they probably went to high school with or college with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's out of
here. I'm lucky. I'm blessed that I'm born and raised out here.
Yeah.
I'm rare.
Yeah.
The mass majority of people you meet out here are not from LA.
Yeah.
They're all transplants like we talk about. So before we get to LA, what was like Miami for you?
Yeah. Miami, I find, and granted, I haven't been like all over the world, but I've traveled a fair bit, and I feel like Miami had like the biggest sugar daddy baby mama, like love sort of relationship situation that I've ever seen in the world.
Interesting.
That was like, dating in Miami is a no-go, to be completely fair. Like, it's extremely hard to find someone that, number one, will like hold a 9 to 5, all right, especially if they're a pretty girl, because you can just fall into the fly me out apps and all that sort of stuff. And so then the expectation is like,
what is that?
I know. We're in the
what is that? What's that?
Basically, people advertise trips, right? So you've got like people that supply the trips, and then girls that apply to be on the trips, and it's just like it's an app. It's like the more
there's an app for everything.
The more you dive in, that's not what we're focusing on.
Brett.
That's not what we're focusing on.
Whatever happened to like not getting in the car with strangers? Now you're like applying
right
to
out the
people's
don't get in the airplane.
It is crazy. It is crazy. Granted, and I know it happens. I'm not going to say all over America because that's obviously not the case. But in
the big cities,
LA, in the big cities, like it does. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I saw that so much in Miami. Like it's another world there. So for me, it wasn't somewhere I was going to go, oh yeah, okay, maybe I could find a girlfriend here. it just, I don't know, it wasn't like a main focus of mine. It never really is, but it's like sometimes you just get a feel for it, like whether, I don't know if this is going to be the spot. And don't get me wrong, I met a lot of lovely girls there too, but the majority of the pool there, they're not there to get married by 25.
I've talked to a lot of my friends out here, and though we're not looking to get married at 25, like you say back at home, but people do want to start getting married. You know, they want to find somebody, they want to get into a relationship, 30, maybe 35, and now they're finding it's very difficult.
Yeah.
And kind of like the app that you were talking about, all these different dating apps that they're swiping left, swiping right. How's that for you? Like, for me, that's it's crazy.
Yeah.
Trying to find somebody real, because again, if we link back like when we talked about Love Island, right?
Yep.
When the camera's on and when the camera's off.
Yeah.
How is a person, right? Well, it's the same when it comes to these apps. Is that really who that person is?
Putting forward a front.
Right.
And all the filters. The filters.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a bummer.
Number one, it touches base on what Jennifer said earlier, I think, is that there's always like the next best thing kind of just around the corner, right? And it's so easily accessible now. So the problem is like in these smaller cities, you're not seeing the 30 girls that are in bikinis on your phone constantly. You're not seeing that anywhere near as much. So I think that plays like a massive role. I'm not just saying it's all social media's fault, because it's definitely like just a natural desire to see what's out there, right, and explore. And I feel like once you've explored your small little city, like, okay, well, most people just go, okay, cool, that's great, and then lock up. But once, if there's, like you said, if there's more people flying in all the time, and no one in LA is really from LA, not no one, but very limited number. There's always people coming in. The scene and the dating pool is always changing. I guess it's like an exciting and constantly changing, again, touching the smorgasbord.
Well, kind of. If I could touch that, right? If I could touch that, I think in my head, right? If you were to go to, let's just say, a simple restaurant like a Denny's, right? Let's throw a Denny's out there. You see the menu, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Then all of a sudden, Victoria, remember we went to that market that was downtown LA that had all the different. Well, I don't recall what it's called, but anyway,
I can't remember. It's like a big food court kind of a thing. Yes,
thank you. It's like a giant food court. So now instead of just at one restaurant, now you're at a food court. You have all these choices, and you're sitting there going, "Oh, that really looks good." But then again, look at that one over there. All of a sudden, I wonder if that does something to us.
Yeah.
Where we're thinking, did I get the right one? Like, I hate going to dinner and seeing my friend get something that I wish I would have ordered.
It's a very,
you know what I'm saying? So psychologically,
metaphor.
I wonder if this shit fucks our heads up.
Very interesting.
It's like drinking
metaphor.
around the world at Epcot. You just stop in every country and you just sample a little bit. And by the time you're done, you need to take a nap.
All right. So what Jen is saying, you're just supposed to sample a little bit of everything. Here.
I mean, you are, and people do that in their own little city too. But when you're exposed to like a buffet of babes, right? I mean, people get tempted to sample more and more. So that definitely makes it really, really difficult in huge cities. That's like the hard part. I'm starting to notice it doesn't matter what huge city you go to. Like New York is the same. Sydney, very similar, just to a lesser extent because the population's nowhere near as big. But LA is obviously falls into that bracket too. I can't speak too much for a lot of other countries because I haven't lived there and haven't experienced it enough. But yeah, it becomes difficult for those reasons for sure.
How since the show, obviously you're getting massive amounts of DMs from women. So like, how are you filtering through? Have you met anybody through that? Are you filtering through those, or is that kind of awkward because it's kind of like a fan, so then it's not really.
No, it's not awkward. I don't think about it like that. It's just, I mean, you touch base and you want to connect with people that you have some sort of background connection with, right? So majority of the people that I've like responded to have been on like shows, or it's different because I'm not just out here to start meeting people and just keep, I don't know, like go through the list. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to work and here to focus. Right. So it's not like. Yeah, I'm not just out here talking to anyone. So in terms of filtering through, like it's nice touching base with like people that have been on previous shows or previous seasons of the same show. Obviously, you've got that instant connection because you've been through the same thing. Yeah, that's definitely different. So yeah, I guess in terms of filtering, that's kind of how I filter.
How much did your social media jump after you were on the show?
Not much, because I was only on there for like 4 days, but I think it was maybe 40,000 followers or something like that. But people jumped millions, you know, off of this show.
I know. I don't understand why you don't have 5 million people. I just
I'm just not that likable.
That's not true. That's not true. You're very likable.
No, it would have been good for. I mean, it would definitely help with the acting career too if things are blown up in a different direction or to a greater extent off the back of this show. But yeah, I mean, hey, it just didn't work out that way for me. That's just the way that it is.
I have to know, did you go into the show with because everybody comes in the show and like, oh, I'm looking for my person and I'm looking to find someone and settle down and get married. I mean, I feel like everybody kind of has to say that. Was that your MO going in, or were you just like you're just like, I'm just gonna have a good time and like not really, you know what I mean? Like, or were you like, okay, I'm gonna go in, I want to meet someone,
I think just like dating in the real world and dating in like normal interactions, right? Like you just go into everything with like your best foot forward, and it's an opportunity and an experience, and you just see what kind of happens from it, right? And who knows, you might meet the love of your life. Like that's just how the world goes. I feel like majority of the best relationships generally come up when they're a surprise, right? Like I don't know, you think back to the person, you're like, holy shit, I never saw this coming. You know, and they're the best ones. And generally speaking, like you're almost like focusing on what you're doing. Right, and then all of a sudden this other person comes along and you gel really well with them. But I mean, it definitely makes sense, because when you're on the right path and when you feel like you're going down the direction you should, people that are heading down that same direction or people that like where you're going, they generally come with you. That's the same sort of thing going into the show. I'm like, no, this is another experience. I'm gonna make the most of this and just go in as I am, and people that like me will like me. And who knows?
Everyone has come here with a goal. For the mass majority. Unless you're born and raised here, you don't move to LA unless you're not trying to pursue something.
Yeah.
I mean, you ladies, you've come out here to LA, you were part of Playboy, you became Playmates, and, you lived your life through that. But I think about others that are in the you want to go into acting, right? So it's the acting world, all that. Everyone has a goal. But what I see is that, like, I get complaints from my own friends. Is that like, oh man, I met this really cool girl, and then all of a sudden he's like, I asked, so how did it go? Oh, dude, she went on, and it's always the one up. It just seems like with all these apps, there's a constant one up. It's like right now, Harrison. Oh my God, I just met you. It's cool. You're at my boss's house, and we have this great pool party, and it's cool, and they're all meeting you, and they recognize you from the show. Then you meet, and you're like going, hey, you seem really cool. We had a great conversation. Yeah. Let's see how that goes. Well, that girl just went to another pool party and just went to another club and just went and saw this guy from this other, you know what I mean? And that's just so disheartening. I don't know how to get around it. I don't have a solution. I'm just bringing these things up because it's disheartening.
I think thinking about that sort of thing is probably one of the worst things that people can do, because then they start like trying to come up with a solution, and really you should just try and be yourself, and the right person's going to come along, and you just gel with them, and it's meant to be, it will be. You know?
He's like a walking, talking, like mastery of self 4 agreements book. Like literally, like
I don't know.
Like, why am I going to worry about it? If it's meant to be, it's going to happen. Just,
Yeah, exactly. Because then you start worrying about it and you try and force it. Like the amount of times that I've seen guys try and buy women is crazy. And it's like ridiculous. It's naturally accepted now in these crazy big cities, right? Because it's like just woven its way into that crazy level of society. But I mean, that's definitely not the way to go about it. You're definitely forcing something.
But on a flip side, I think it's good because you're able to see who the person really is right away.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? But you have to keep an open mind to understand that it's not like back at home. Yeah. It's not like for those that are listening that are in the Midwest. If you're out here, you meet someone, you have to remind yourself, like Mary O'Connor, Hef's personal assistant. As Mary O'Connor said to me, she goes, Brian, every woman out here has an objective. And you got to remember, not saying that they're all bad,
Yeah.
but if you can keep that mind open going, well, I'm not surprised. That's what just happened.
Exactly. You just keep a level head, and people's true intentions come out soon enough.
Yeah.
You just gotta be careful in the meantime that you just don't dive too deep or spend too much or give too much of your heart or something,
Bingo.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you gotta give time.
Opportunist.
Yeah,
that's
give
the
it
word.
time.
I was tongue tied. Yeah, that's
right.
what Mary would always say.
Yeah.
Remind yourself, because I got really screwed over.
Yeah,
like
right.
by multiples that I thought were real.
Yeah.
And then you find out, no, they're opportunists. They want to step into this
Right.
world.
Yeah.
They want to
You
step
were
into.
you were the foot in the door of the Playboy Mansion. I mean,
And
come
trust
on.
me, that'll be in the
You
book.
know?
I got used. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem.
The Rogue Bunnies have had some pretty epic in real life events that I'm sure you've all heard about. Wondering how you can be included in our next one? Become a VIP NFT holder. The main benefit of being a VIP is access to our events, and lucky for you, there are multiple ways to become one. Purchase a stunning Rogue Bunnies Founder Drop Ordinal, minting now at ordinals.roguebunnies.com. Or own a legendary or epic trading card. Buy one right off of our marketplace, or try your luck with a Series 1 trading card pack. Once you own one of these, get verified in our Discord and claim your status. The VIP perks don't end at in-real-life events. You'll also have priority access to future drops, gated chat channels with the Rogue Bunnies, VIP-only online events, and more. Want more details? Visit roguebunnies.com. Then follow the bunny mask and get ready to go rogue.
Welcome to the metaverse.
All right, we're going to be wrapping up. We are talking about the dating pool, and I'm not trying to sound like a negative Nancy where I'm putting things down to where saying you can't find a real relationship. There are real relationships, but I think when you do find that person, you have to really invest and go the full gamut without constantly going, well, did I pick the best? Is there one better? And that's what I keep seeing is the one-up shit.
Yeah.
Ladies, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like LA can also be where you go and you date and you see that enough to where you realize that's not where you want to be. And that's how I ended up coming back to New Jersey and marrying someone I went to high school with, because LA and that dating, constantly not knowing if they're going to call you the next day, or then they start dating your friend, or like whatever happens, you just realize it's like a learning experience. It's like a level up for yourself to know this isn't what I want to be in. And there are people out there that want the same things. That's why I left, because, those people just need to find each other out there, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But do you find, Jen, that, and I like that you pointed that out, is that it took being here and to really appreciate and see what you have when you go back home and what you have. I mean, how long you been married now?
10 years.
10 years.
10
Two great
years.
boys.
2 kids,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, you have a tight family, which is so cool, and you love it, and you are nonstop, but you love it.
Yeah.
And you got what you wanted.
It's fulfilling. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I just fear for a generation today, the younger generation, that is thinking, oh no, I don't ever want to settle down. I don't ever want to get married. I don't want to ever have a family. And it's like, I think a lot of people are going to regret that. Not saying everyone, but at some point you're going to regret not having that. I mean, Victoria, can you imagine your life without Treese?
No, I'm not married, by the way. So
Oh, boy.
Oh my God.
Bravo, Vic. Bravo.
Yeah. So which brings me to my next question, Harrison. Like, what kind of girls do you like to date?
Main thing, like, I feel like visually for me, like, I find so many different styles attractive. Like, it's just like there's no way that you'd be able to plot like, oh yeah, this is his type.
Sure.
This is what he likes. So I don't really focus on that too much. Like, if I'm attracted, I'm attracted. But for me, I like someone that's got like that's got a vision, that's got goals, that knows not where they want to go exactly, but they're like driven to some purpose.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. It's having purpose is a very, very good thing. And it also what it stops people thinking that they need to rely on the other person, and it stops like an attachment sort of situation rather the flowing together thing that I was talking about. So I really, really like that. I think that's a necessity in someone that I'm pursuing or someone that I'm seeing the future with. I like someone that has wit as well, like so witty humor. For me, that shows like a massive sign of intellect. Because we're all like having fun, right? But for me, I like being able to connect the dots and seeing someone that can connect dots, and I'm like, oh shit, wow, all right, she's doing that. That's cool. So that's a big one. Generally, someone that likes to look after themselves. So again, you don't have to eat healthy. I'm not talking about a marathon runner or someone. I don't need that sort of stuff. But in general, someone that looks after themselves, gets in the gym, eats well. Has a good outlook on the world as well. Has a nice understanding of how things work. I like that. I don't know. There's naivety is like cute, but understanding and seeing the world for what it is and having like an in-depth understanding of how things operate is really attractive, because it's almost like the world is a maze and you're able to piece it together and you can solve it, or it's like a puzzle, for example.
I don't think people date today. I really don't think people date. I have a story that popped into my head right now. One time I had a butler that came into the house office and he said, hey, Brian, can I talk to you? And we've talked about it in other shows where I have an open door policy. You tell me, what am I? Am I your boss? Am I your friend? And he goes, I need a friend right now. So he sat down. I'm like, what's up? And he was really broken up. And he goes, dude, my girlfriend and I, we broke up. I don't understand what went wrong. And I go, well, where did you meet her? Met her at a party. Then we shortly moved in together a few weeks after that. I'm like, wow. Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute. What did you guys do for dating, right? And he goes, well, we would go to parties.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I get you.
Okay. All right. You're not going to like to hear this, but I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You didn't date her. You didn't get to know who she was.
Who she was, exactly.
Yeah. You jumped in a relationship for sex.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well,
I'm just saying, and be honest with me. And he was like, well, you gotta go, right? I mean, think about all your fun. What was it? Go into parties, partying, having sex. Yeah. And you're surprised that it didn't grow into anything. Yeah. I go, did you know what her goals were? Did you know what she wants in life? Yeah. Do you know how you want to, how are you going to build it? And I just think people don't date. I'm like, dude, you didn't date.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes people just go out today just for fun. Like, hey, I got a needed thing. Like, let's go do this together. That's cool. But if you're not taking that opportunity to actually talk to the individual and find out, hey, what are your goals? What are your backgrounds? What are you hoping for?
For sure. Actually, I tell you what, that I feel like is one of my... I've only ever had 2 girlfriends in my life. Both of them were like a surprise. But when it comes to dating, I don't spend a hell of a lot of time on a lot of people, right? I sit down and have like a coffee with them, or I go paddleboarding, so I'm at the beach. So you have to talk. You have to be doing things, right? And it's not like a standard dinner where it's like, okay, we've got to like woo someone, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, tell me who you are. Like, this is me. I'm going to tell you who I am. And then the dinner part, like the romance of it all, like that sort of stuff can come in once you know you like the person for who they are, not just like the romanticized date. And dinner of course is a great way to do that. I'm not knocking the whole dinner thing, but I feel like everyone romanticizes the dinner. It's like you've got to put on a show, like it's like, oh, we're going to this restaurant. Oh, that means he loves me this much. Or that means he likes me this much. You know what I mean? It's like
when you're talking like price tags.
Yeah.
It's like going,
just the hoo-ha of the restaurant or wherever it is. Oh, it's like this place. And it's like, okay, how about like just ignore the trying to woo someone and trying to get someone, and how about like find out whether you like them first, and then the wooing, like you'll find yourself on the same path, and the wooing, you're like, oh shit, I actually want to woo this person, not just because she's hot and has big tits.
I think that's a big mistake.
You know what I mean?
It's true though. You're right.
100%. Don't get me wrong, they're great.
And a lot of men do that. Like, well, they'll do this big grandiose thing or whatever, but then it kind of sets the bar for, like, you take them all these restaurants, and then you set the bar, and then when you don't do that, then they're like, well, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? It's definitely something you should build up to, and like you said, like meet for coffee or go on a hike or something. Like see people in their natural state, in sweats and everything. And then, because if you see someone where they're all glammed up and then you get to know them and then you wake up and you're like, ooh, wow, that's quite unexpected. You know what I mean? Like, it's really so much better to meet people without all the extra stuff to kind of like back up their personality.
Agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. And I was just going to say, before you said, oh, wake up in the morning and it's like, I wasn't going to go there. I was going to say, that, like, so you talked about setting the bar, like everyone puts their best foot forward and goes over the top at the start. This is like this is the principle behind the honeymoon phase. You put your best foot forward trying to win this person over, and then in all of a sudden 4 weeks or 3 weeks time or 6 weeks time, you're like, I don't feel like putting up an act anymore. I'm like, this is who I am, sorry. And then you find out that you really don't like the person. You're like, well, what the fuck was that?
Exactly. People want people to be really who they are. If you're going to spend a life with them, I mean, like, Jen, your husband inside and out. You're spending a life. You know all of his quirks. You know all of the cool things that you love about him, and you know the shit that you fucking pisses you off. But you said this is the person that I want to get old with, and so that's cool.
And it was because the night that we reconnected, we did nothing but talk.
I just like sitting there and just talking. If someone can hold a conversation, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is really good. And it doesn't necessarily need to be about anything in particular, but you just find it dives deep after like 2.5 hours. Or an hour and a half or whatever, and you start talking about stuff that actually matters. If someone can talk, it goes there, and you find out what the people are actually like.
From being a playmate, and obviously there's like people have a certain thing that playmates are all about, but I have always found it, men go, oh, like, let's go shopping and like whatever. I'm always like, okay. Automatically,
men do not go, hey, let's go shopping.
my boyfriend wants to take me shopping. That's one thing, but some strange guy taking me shopping, and now our relationship is about.
You're talking about like being bought
stuff, yeah.
I don't. That is such a turnoff for me. Like men throwing I want my guy to have a job, and like I don't want to have to pay for everything. But to have someone kind of throw that in, like in the beginning, it's a huge turnoff, because then he's already painting me as like he sees me as a woman that thinks of them as a wallet. I'm not. That does not sit well with me at all.
I think honestly, that's like, if people want that sort of thing, then it's great. But I feel like that's an anomaly. No, I don't think people really want a transactional relationship. And if it's if it's the first thing that comes up, like, is there really much depth to here's a handbag?
Right.
If you don't know the person, like, and the problem is that you've got, it's a vicious circle of girls going, yeah, no, I want that. Yep, sure. And then the guys going, okay, well, that's what I've got to do. And then you've got guys going, okay, well, yeah, that's how you get them. And then sometimes the guys want to buy the girls, and then the girls go, oh, okay, I'll accept it. And then they just get used to this like vicious transactional cycle,
Well, some people it works for. Some people it really works for. It's like totally fine. But I think for a lot of girls, I think that kind of creates more problem than it's worth.
Yeah, I think for guys too.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that everyone can find what they're looking for, man.
Well, so Harrison, tell us where everyone can find you on Instagram.
My Instagram handle is @HarrisonLuna. It's very, very, very simple. I'll be there. I promise.
All right. We're closing out. We are Rogue Bunnies Mayhem. And the mayhem continues.